Good morning, beautiful mamas. I am a little bit late, 7 minutes late. I apologize for that. I had to put Oscar down for his morning nap. So that's why I'm a little bit late. But I'm here and I'm highly, 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 highly excited to be here with you and to connect because today is the day I'm launching my podcast. Turning off the notification here. I'm launching my podcast, How Moms Make Money Online, and I'm very excited. I just released the two first episode and I am so happy. So if you go to the page and I will put the link under that, you will see the introduction, which is about 2 minutes, just me talking. And I did it a while ago. So now my idea of a podcast is quite different, but I like for you to see the evolution, how like the whole process of making it happen for a podcast. And then the two first episode are two lovely mompreneurs. The first one is Michelle. Michelle is Mama Buzz, so she started as a blogger and she launched her online store all by herself. Love design, so she decided to launch her online store, and it's a massive success. And the second one is Corey. Corey as well started as a blogger, mom of two toddlers, and she decided to launch her own home management program. So if any of you moms wants to learn a few things about launching something from scratch and also keeping your house in order, go ahead and click the link that I'm going to share with you later because those two episodes are great, and there is a lot of great value, but also a lot of wisdom, and I want you to know that anything is possible. And that's why I am really interviewing all those women, all those moms who are making it happen for them in such a different ways, because I want you to know that not only anything is possible, but you have to also find your way of doing things. But anyway, today it's about the podcast ins and out. And I got a few questions, so I'm going to reply to your question. And if you have more, please don't hesitate to post it on Facebook, and I will go ahead and see if there are people. And we have people. Bonjour Celia. Hello Brittany. So happy to have you from Oregon. I am so grateful you guys are watching me. Let's get started. So, I've got asked the question, what is the story behind How Moms Make Money Online podcast? And so when I decided to start a podcast, it was about, I think it was in February this year. I launched a blog, and it was a very practical blog, not really an inspirational blog. And I think I was missing that. I was super eager to give practical tips and to help moms to make it happen for themselves, but I forgot and I missed the inspirational part. And that's why I decided to do a podcast. So I guess the idea came to me after I launched the blog around March 2020. So it's not that old. And I decided to do interviews. So that's why it's my style. I wanted to interview women, not only because I think we can learn so much from other, but also because I wanted to get inspired by those women, and I wanted to, be able to empower them, but also empower me to keep going and moving forward with creating even more content. So I would say early April, I started to interview mompreneurs, and I felt so fulfilled by everything that I was listening. And I didn't even know that podcast was my thing. I just thought like, well, I'm going to do a podcast because first, it's not too crowded yet. So it's a great way to build your reputation with a podcast. But also, um, I didn't know that I was going to love it so much, and interviewing those women, and being like entering their life and knowing their challenges, but also that their lessons just nourishes my soul so much. So I never regretted, like after the first interview that I did, I was sold. I was like, okay, I need to do a podcast. It's just amazing. So the podcast, what it is about. So it's a conversational style. So I interview people. It's about 45 minutes each. And each week I bring inspiring and inspired mom who are opening up about the challenges and the joy to run a business while raising good humans, good kids. In the future, I'm thinking that my next level for the podcast is to narrow each episode down by really focusing on one specific topic and one specific industry per guest, and make it a good 30 minutes instead of 45 minutes. But that's what you learn with experience. And because when you do a podcast, it's not just about, interviewing the people or creating the audio content. You have a lot of things to do after, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Just checking. Yay, Celia is Celia is working on launching her podcast. I am so happy for you. You will love it. I mean, I loved it, but you need to do like the first episode to make sure that you love it as well. But I'm sure you will, because you love meeting new people and you love learning from other people. So I'm sure you will love it. Anyway, let's keep going. For whom is the podcast? Moms or anyone really who wants to start a business but still have not, and also moms or anyone who has a business but feels stuck or lack inspiration and motivation. In this podcast, we talk a lot about, yes, inspiration and what we do to, pass the challenges that we face as a busy human. So yes, it's towards mom, yes, but everyone at one point is busy doing something else. So you can really relate in the tips and the tricks and hack that we share into the podcast. And it will give you that little push that you need to finally start your business. And it will also give you that little push to get out of the stuckiness that you are if you already have a business, because you will feel so inspired by those moms who are starting from scratch, from nothing, and from no business background most of the time. And that will make you want to do the same. And that is very, very inspiring. And the goal, by the way, it's really to do that. Why did I decide to start a podcast? Because my message is bigger than I am. And I want everyone to know that anything is possible and that you are not alone. Every challenge that you are facing right now, everyone on earth has faced them, even the most successful person and your mentors, and everyone, they are all facing the same challenge. And I want you to know that you are not alone. I want to inspire you to follow your dream and make and start that business happen for you, because your dreams are more important than anything else. The second reason why I decided to start a podcast is also, so the message was the first one, but also towards my business. It's a good way for me to build my reputation and to be able to share even more value for free, accessible, affordable value for my audience. And I'm all about, sharing all I know, as free as I can, everything that I can make it free, I will. And I am so empowered by doing that. And the podcast is really here to add value and to add, tips, tricks, hacks, strategies into your life. And I don't want you to pay for that. I just want you to enjoy the ride with me. And the last thing, it's very personal. I decided to start a podcast because it's an invaluable resource. I learn from my guests so much, and I love meeting new people. And it's funny because this morning I just bought a new book on Audible, and the name is The Power. So it's written by the lady who did The Secret. So The Secret is the whole movie and book about the law of attraction. So The Power came after. And the first chapter is all about love. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So on a personal side, I'm looking for, having more love into my life. And the podcasting is giving me so much that it's fulfilling my soul and it's attracting more love to me. And so that's just my way to be able to thrive in my life as well. So it's just all the best thing that I have ever, do. And What else? We have a new question. Let's see. Ooh, yes. Yes. Thank you, Braden. Yes. So true. Let's talk about what software and material I use. So I use this mic and I think you can see it. I use this mic. I can put the link as well. It's a pseudo track. I think it's about $69. Honestly, you don't need to invest in a mic, but I wanted to have like a good sound. But you know, those, tiny headsets from Apple with the mic, they work very well as well. So if you don't have $69 to invest, you can go with them. I just decided to make that type of investment because I wanted to, feel more professional. It's not even about someone looking at me. It's like more about, my mindset and putting myself into the right position to feel like I'm having a podcast and I'm doing like, an audio record. So that's why my choice. Otherwise, for the sound, I also always use my AirPod, and you can see that because I don't want my computer to interact with the mic if someone is talking to me, So I always have my AirPods so that there is no interaction with my computer in the mic. Everything is in my ears only. As for how I edit my things, well, I record my intro and outro on GarageBand. So this is a Mac software that you have when you buy a Mac, obviously, and it's completely free and it does a very, very good job for the edition part. So when I started, yes, I edited on GarageBand and we talk about that a little bit later, but I didn't like the edition part. So I decided to outsource that part. But GarageBand, it's free. It's working very well. So if you have a Mac, just do it with what you have already in stock. For the interview, I do all my interviews on Zoom, working very well. I have I think I have the pro account. So the pro account, I think it's about $15 per month. And I do record my interview over there. I can go past the 40 minutes. I can have my, interviewee for an hour, 2 hours, even more. But yeah, Zoom is working well. The sound is good. You just have to make sure that your interviewee has a great mic as well, and you can catch their, their voice correctly. So that's one thing that is very important when you interview people. You don't need to interview people, by the way. If you want to do a podcast, just, about what you know and just talking about your value and what you can bring to the world, yes, do it. You don't need to interview people. I just felt for me that interviewing people will add a lot more value to what I was saying. So Zoom are great for interview, great records. And the good thing with Zoom is like if you plan, like I was planning before, to put the episode on YouTube for SEO's purpose, for example, you can, because you will have your video. Other thing, when you have a podcast, you will need to find a host. I decided to go with Buzzsprout, and I will put all the link. I have a little document that I can share with you if you're curious about what I did, and I will share that with you. But yeah, Buzzsprout is when I host my podcast. So basically, I register the podcast and then I upload the episode on Buzzsprout. And when it's live, you have the choice to list your podcast into Apple Podcast, into a Spotify, Google Podcast, everything. So what's happening? And I just learned that today because obviously I launched the podcast today. So the podcast is live, yes, but I'm not listed yet on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and all the other things because they need to review my podcast because it's approved. So right now you will not be able to leave a rating or a review on Apple Podcast. But when I'm on Apple Podcast, you will be able to do that. And I will ask for that because I need your support. And if I want to be on the New and Not Worthy podcast, I will need your support massively and get a lot of reviews and a lot of ratings. Because that's the thing. Your podcast will be considered new for 8 weeks. So if during those 8 weeks of the launch are the most crucial weeks of the launch of your podcast. And so during those 8 weeks, you need to have your podcast push so that Apple Podcast can see that it's not worthy and put you on a pedestal. And during that time, if you are on a new and not worthy podcast, your growth will be like exponential. Then you will drop for sure because you won't be anymore in that new and not worthy. You will less be seen by the people, but it's a great start to launch your podcast. So think about it. And also something that I learned, when you launch a podcast, just don't launch just one episode, launch 3 episodes, because if the people likes what you're doing, you don't want to let them like with nothing. You want to let them with something else to listen to until you release the other episode. So again, the first 8 weeks are super crucial. So try to have at least 8 to 10 episodes ready before you decide to launch, so you can schedule and you can be at top of your game when you launch. And again, launch 3 episodes. And mine are just very simple. The introduction, which is about 2 minutes, just explaining, and the 2 first interviews that I did. Another thing that I use, and I chose to do transcription, show notes and everything, but I choose to do transcription because I am French and I have a strong accent and I don't want anyone to miss anything that I'm saying. So I am really, really, really very happy and I'm even encouraging you to do transcription because not everyone is able to hear, and having the transcription will make your content even more more people will be able to catch it, because sometimes you can't listen to something, but you can definitely read it. So I choose to do transcription. And now you don't need to do transcription. I just think that is a great way to reach out to a bigger audience. And yes, I have an accent, so I do transcription also for that reason. And for the transcription part, I use author.io. And author.io, basically I upload my audio and they do the transcription for myself. So the only thing that I need to do after that is to proofread the transcription that they've made for me. So it's still a long process, but at least I don't have to write it myself. It's not that expensive. I think Author, the software that I'm using, and again, I will put all the link below, is about $12 per month, something like that. Not even sure, I will check. But it makes a difference. If you have someone who wants to have the content of your podcast but don't want to listen. I mean, that happened to me all the time. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, I don't want to listen, I just want to read like super fast. And that's what I do through the transcription, and I go exactly where I love to hear. Another thing that I do for my podcast, so for every episode I create kind of a blog post, and in the blog post I do the introduction of the podcast. I do the timestamp, very important, because I want my audience to be able to go to that specific timestamp, to that specific minutes, so that they can listen to exactly what they want. So that's very important for me, so they don't have to listen to the whole episode before they get to what they want to hear. So I do the timestamp, and it would say like minute 41 and 30 sec. You will learn about the importance of building your reputation. I try to make those timestamps very teasing. So I'm not going to give you the content, like the exact content of what we're going to talk, but I'm going to tease you, saying like, learn the one most important things to do when you want to build your reputation online. And so I push you to click on that specific time so that you can learn something. So that's what I do. So introduction, timestamp. I also do quotables. Quotables are the quotes that I extract from my guests during the audio. And from those quotables, I also create graphics. So people, if they want to share a graphic, they absolutely can. It's a square graphic that I put on, my website podcast, the page that I create for my podcast, for my episode, and they can share that on their social media. And I find it, I think it's cool because it allows people to share more your episode, and that's a great way, because what you really want when you launch a podcast and you do episode, it's, yes, you want to touch people, you want to help people. That's the number one thing. And one of the best way to touch a bigger audience is by the sharing options. So make sure you make things that people will be able to share. The last part of my my episode post is the link and resources. I also always post the link and resources of what we talked during the podcast. And people love that because they can refer and they can get back. Something that is also very important now that you have a podcast, it's at every episode that you're doing, have a call to action. Make people join your group. Make people, register for your freebie. Push them to do something so that you can create a relationship with them and you can start to engage deeper with them. So yes, always have a call to action. And in the show notes, that's also a great way to put your link and saying, hey, by the way, if you want to start a business, register to my 14 days to start your online business right now. That is very, very crucial. You will learn that when you do the first episode. And obviously with the first series of interviews that I did, I don't always have a call to action, but that's okay. It's a learning curve. It's a learning progress. But in my show notes, I always have my call to action so that people can take action after that. And always invite at the end of each episode, invite people to comment, to review, to rate your episode, because that is very important for you and for the popularity. Not because you want to be, yes, it's good for your ego, let's be clear, but it's not just that. It's also because you will be able to touch a bigger audience. And I think at the end of the day, that's the the most important point of having a podcast. It's to be able to share, to spread your message to anyone who will be able to, listen to your message. Let's keep going. How much does it cost to start a podcast? Well, it did not cost a thing to produce the content, except for what I say for the mic. So, and you don't even need to have a mic. So it didn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything to start a podcast. You can start a podcast with a computer and a nice free software to record your voice. That's it. However, for me, I decided to outsource a few things from my podcast, because first I didn't have any fun doing the editing, for example, and I kind of have hard time managing my time when I do the show notes. So I decided to outsource those two things. So I have a virtual assistant who's doing my show notes and transcription, and I have a guy who's doing my editing a podcast mean, taking off the blank, lowering, improving the audio, yes, erasing some disturbing noise during your podcast. So that's part I didn't like, and I didn't have enough knowledge, I would say, to make it the way I want it. So I outsource this part. And for the show notes, I just didn't want to focus my time on that, because to me it wasn't a profitable activity. And I need, as well, as much as I love doing the podcast, I also need to grow my one-on-one coaching business. And so I decided to outsource that so that I can take that time to grow my one-on-one coaching business. So that's why I decided to do that. Then when you do the transcription, as I said, or when you do the Zoom meeting, yes, you might invest a little bit per month in that. And recording, producing doesn't cost you anything, but hosting will cost you something. Meaning, if you want to upload more than 4 hours per month, you will need, I'm talking for Buzzsprout because obviously that's the one I'm choosing, to host my podcast. But if you want to upload more than 4 hours per month, you will need to pay, I think it's $13 per month to be able to host your podcast. That's it. But other than that, it does not cost you anything to record your voice. And I even think on Buzzsprout, you have a free version. So you have a free version up to 2 hours, I think. So if you plan to do 2 hours per month, that can be the great option. And you can have your podcast for completely free. Does having a podcast takes time? Yes, it does. I guess you're not surprised. Yes, it does. It takes a lot of time. First of all, if you want to do it well, it will take time. It's like anything, it takes dedication. And I will not recommend you to start a podcast if you don't have fun. You can try, but if you don't have fun, don't do a podcast because it will take time. You have the interview, you don't need to do an interview. But in my case, the interview, I plan always like an hour and a half with my guest. Even though I don't record the whole hour and a half, I always plan an hour and a half with my guest so that we can chit chat, we can catch up, and we can, really create something upfront and afterward. Then the second part is the edition. That part I outsourced it because it was taking too much of my time and I didn't have the knowledge to do it the way I wanted. And then you have the preparation. The preparation, it's everything about the show note, the transcription, the show notes, the blog post that you created with your podcast, and everything that goes after the graphics, everything. And when you have a podcast, if you want to teach people to listen to your podcast, yes, you will need to create clips, and that takes time, my friend. So yes, it takes time. And then you have the promotion. You have to make time to promote your podcast. And my best recommendation in terms of the promotion is really to choose one specific platform and start with one. And once you master it, it's pretty much like anything, with your business. You choose one, and when you master that one, you can open to another one. I am promoting my podcast on Facebook and Instagram because those are the two that I really master now. And I know, with batching content and scheduling my post, how I can manage both. But I'm not creating the same content on Facebook and on Instagram. And so it takes time. Yes, promotion is like taking time. It's sending emails. It's like sending also personal emails to make sure that, your friends are rating your podcast and reviewing your podcast. So yes, it takes time. But at the same time, it's fun. If you're really passionate about it, it will be fun. So again, I don't recommend you to start a podcast if you don't have any fun, because you will fall into you will not be consistent and it will just drain your energy down. Um, Another question that I got: how does a podcast benefit you? Well, number one, and I talked about that before, you can build your reputation with a podcast. You setting yourself as an expert or a knowledge broker, someone who's bringing wonderful knowledge into the table. So you're building your reputation. Super important, whatever business you are doing, you have to build your reputation. If you don't build your reputation, people won't buy anything from you because they won't know you, they won't like you, and they won't trust you. So building your reputation with a podcast is wonderful. Number two, you meet awesome people and you start networking. And by networking, your podcast can be spread, and everything that you do is spread as well because of the power of people, the power of one, my friend. Super, super important. Allows you to network. Third, you learn new things all the time, and it allows you to become your best person. It's a self-improvement, I would say, practice. And every time I have an interview, and even every time I listen back to an interview that I did, I learn something new, something that I didn't catch before. And that is so rewarding and so fulfilling for my soul, body, and mind. And then the last thing that you can do is you can promote your product, service, freebies, everything on your podcast to your audience. And you're not like salesy or something because you're providing so much value. It's just like at the end of the podcast or at the beginning, you're saying like, hey, I have this amazing freebie for you. You should get it. And that's completely fine. And your audience won't take it the wrong way, I promise. How to monetize a podcast? You can do it. I choose right now not to monetize it because it's really about the content for me, and it's really about launching it and touching and reaching out to the most people. But you can have sponsors, so people who are paying, brands who are paying you to have a little advertising. Listen to a lot of podcasts are doing that. So two of the podcasts that I love is the one from Amy Porterfield, and the other one is from Lewis Howes, the School of Greatness. And those two are doing sponsors. So you will hear after the introduction, they will do a little speech about the sponsor of the episode. And that's the way you can make money off your podcast. The second thing is by affiliate. Every person that you interview, you can ask them if they have, a freebie or an affiliate links. And then when when you bring them people, you will receive a commission. That's another way. And the last way is crowdfunding. So you have an angel who wants to crowdfund your podcast. I'm not super familiar with that last one, but I know that exists. I have one last question left, and then I will let you go with your life. And please to comment and let me know what you think about this episode. And if you have more questions, let me know in the comment below. But the last question is, what is the best thing about podcasting? So you don't have to wear any makeup unless you put your episode on YouTube as well. You can put a little bit of makeup, but otherwise you can do podcasts on your pages. That's completely fine. The only thing that needs to be clear is your voice. So that is the number one. The number two best thing is I love meeting new people and learning from them. I know we talk about that, but that is so crucial for me. And that was so crucial for me when I decided to do a podcast. Number three, and I think it's one of the most important things, I love helping others. I love helping others. And the podcast is a great way to share what I know and what other people know. And that is certainly the most valuable thing and the best thing about podcasting. And the last one, and we talked about that before, it's an invaluable resource of anything. It's a lot of humanity. It's a lot of new knowledge. It's a lot of pushing yourself to do something that you've never done before. It's a lot of, opening up and just like getting out and just be you in front of everyone. And I think that's super important sometimes to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And a podcast will definitely do that. Even if you experience a new episode is always a new experience and always a new, I won't say challenge, but a new things to learn. So yes, I would definitely recommend for you to launch your podcast. But don't do it if you don't have any fun. I'm just going to look at the comment to see if we have new comments. Celia is asking, would you share your outsource for edition? Likewise, I'm having a hard time with editing. Absolutely. I will share it with you. Zoom is great. Yes, Zoom is great. And you're using it for your classes. Wonderful. You can, if you do interview, you can use it. Even if you don't do interview, you can absolutely use it if you want to have, video with your podcast. If you don't want a video, you can use like just the GarageBand for free. And I think there is a few other software that you can upload online that are completely free as well. So yes, I think I got all the comments. I will post all the links and everything in the comment below, and I will create a unit on the social learning for you guys to be able to refer when you want to talk about podcasting. Also, I'm always available, so don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any more questions. Of course, Celia, I have to go too. I wish you a fabulous day. And thank you so much for watching the live. I think we've done everything, and I will share all the notes that I shared today in the comment below so you can have even more. All right, guys, I wish you a fabulous Wednesday. I was so happy to be with you this morning. I think it was the biggest live ever we've done. And so I'm proud of that. Thank you so much. Don't forget to register for the 14 days to start your online business. If you feel stuck in your business or if you haven't started your business, these free course will help you unstuck you and will push you to get started. So register now. I wish you a fabulous day, and I will talk with you very soon. Bye-bye, my friend.